Hello and welcome to our English news edition, coming to you from Canal, Algérie. To the headlines. The President of the Republic stresses the role of the government in preserving the purchasing power, backing social housing, and the necessity to review the municipal and provincial codes. The President of the Republic receives a phone call from his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron. Bilateral cooperation was at the center of the conversation. Cooperation is also at the heart of the fifth session of the Algerian French High-Level Intergovernmental Committee. And high expectations are voiced by the Arab countries as regards the Arab Summit to be hosted by Algeria. Good evening, those were today's headlines. First, in our news, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, chaired on Sunday an extraordinary meeting of the Council of Ministers devoted to the 2023 Finance Bill. Important instructions and guidelines were given on the occasion by the head of state. Let's discover more with Ines Kilo.
Following the President of the Republic instructions concerning the purchasing power, the President emphasized the role of the government in guaranteeing the availability and stability of food products, particularly those that are subsidized, while fighting speculation in all its forms, as well as giving interest to the improvement of the social situation of citizens in the first place. Concerning the vehicles issue, citizens are authorized to import vehicles less than 3 years old at their own expenses and for their own needs, and not for commercial purposes. Authorized foreign car manufacturers to import vehicles for sale in Algeria in parallel with the meticulous and continuous monitoring of the process of launching a real car industry in Algeria as soon as possible. Present the specifications relating to car dealership at the next Council of Ministers meeting in order to determine their content before the end of 2022. Regarding the wealth tax, the President of the Republic instructed the government to continue the overall digitalization of all sectors in 2023, with a particular focus on accelerating the digitalization of taxes departments, initiating an accurate digitalization of the financial and material possibilities in all their forms in the parallel market, launching a national plan to register all commercial transactions on the Information and Electronic Data Network with the Taxes Department, establishment of free zones in Tindouf, Timimoun, Tanzouatin and the Tayyib al-Arbi, capable of achieving economic flexibility, authorize exporters within the framework of free trades to export non-consumer products manufactured locally according to the list drawn up by the Ministry of Trade. In the housing sector, allocate land for the construction of social housing units, maintaining the state's commitments to provide assistance to social housing units, and launch a national consultation to make a final decision on the project for the new town of Bougazoul. Concerning the education sector, the President ordered to make optimal and efficient use of the structures and establishments, as well as all the means currently available, so as to preserve the financial capacities of the state and take advantage of it for the benefit of the educational sector. In the interior and local authority sectors, it was instructed to proceed without delay to a thorough revision of the communal and provincial codes to allow for better performance and services that meet the expectations of citizens, while defining responsibilities with precision. Finally, it was instructed to prepare in depth study in anticipation of the global revision of the local taxation system. The President's decisions, notably those related to cars import, were highly appreciated by the Algerian citizens across the national territory, as it will settle this thorny and complicated file for the majority of them.
The decisions taken by the President of the Republic during this extraordinary Council of Ministers were held by the Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Brahim Boughali, notably those regarding the improvement of social situation of the citizens, car imports, and fighting all forms of speculation. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, received on Sunday a phone call from his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron, during which they discussed the bilateral relations and expressed their satisfaction regarding the positive evolution of these relations. The two presidents also discussed the meeting of the fifth session of the Algerian-French High-Level Intergovernmental Committee being held in Algiers, as well as the latest developments in the region. The proceedings of the fifth session of the Algerian-French High-Level Intergovernmental Committee kicked off on Sunday under the chairmanship of the Algerian and French premiers, respectively Ayman Ben Abdelrahman and Elizabeth Borne. And a set of sectorial meetings were held between the French and the Algerian ministers so as to promote bilateral relations between the two countries in the different sectors related basically to the interior, environment, justice, energy, the mujahideen or war veterans, education, culture, in addition to trade and pharmaceutical industry. Promoting cooperation was high on the agenda of the sectorial meetings as well. The Prime Minister Ayman Ben Abdelrahman held discussions with his French counterpart Elizabeth Borne, who arrived on Sunday evening at the head of an important delegation as part of the holding of the fifth session of the Algerian-French High-Level Intergovernmental Committee. The French Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne laid on Sunday a wreath of flowers in the Martyrs Sanctuary here in Algiers. She also observed a minute of silence on the memory of the martyrs of the National Liberation War. Accompanied by the Minister of Agriculture, Elizabeth Borne admired the panoramic beautiful view of the Bay of Algiers. Earlier in the day, the French Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne was received upon her arrival to the Houari Boumediene International Airport by the Prime Minister Ayman Ben Abdelrahman, accompanied by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Settled Abroad, Ramtan Al-Amamra, as well as other members of the government. In another context, the National Day of Diplomacy was celebrated on Sunday at the premises of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where the national emblem was hoisted high and the Fatiha, or the opening chapter of the Holy Quran, was recited on the memory of our valiant martyrs. The ceremony took place in the presence of the President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, advisors of the President of the Republic, government members, former diplomats, as well as members of the diplomatic corps accredited in Algeria. In a keynote speech on the occasion, the Foreign Minister Ramtan Al-Amamra put forward the important diplomatic achievements made so far by Algeria under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, as well as their contribution in the building of a new Algeria. The ceremony was also an opportunity to honor the family of the Mujahid and diplomat Mustafa Farrouhi and launch the new version of the official website of the ministry. On the sidelines of this ceremony, the Foreign Minister chaired a conference with the national and foreign press, during which he reported the completion of the preparations for the holding of the Arab Summit, highlighting the President of the Republic's willingness to make this key event a unifying one. And ahead of the upcoming Arab Summit, the Tunisian people have high expectations and hopes concerning this important event that will undoubtedly unify the Arab nations and discuss files of common interests. More details with Melissa Kabash.
I trust Algeria and the Algerian people, and I hope that the summit will unify the Arab ranks.
We aspire that the Arab people constitute a strong front.
We wish the participation of all Arab countries in Algeria's summit so as to contribute to the success of this important event.
Just like other Arab nations, the Tunisian people expressed for their part as well their optimistic views concerning the upcoming Arab summit, hoping to be an occasion to address questions of common interest.
May God bless Algeria. The summit will make a huge difference and will come up with great solutions.
Algeria adopted a strong policy capable of unifying the Arab nation. The Tunisian people are expecting a lot from this important event because we believe in our capacities alongside our human and material resources.
The summit requires the collaboration and contribution of all Arab countries. For Tunisians, closing ranks is a must to find common solutions for the crisis encountered by certain Arab countries. Algeria's summit is an opportunity to unify the Arab world. Algeria's efforts to ensure the smooth running and the success of this event have also been saluted by the Tunisian people and many other Arab countries, including the Palestinian file that will be high on the agenda, with the aim of finding a settlement of this crucial cause.
The deadline of the 6th General Population and Housing Census has been extended to the 16th of October, according to the Ministry of Digitization and Statistics, the 6th operation of its kind since Algeria's independence. Sabrinta Ferganit has more.
An extra week was added by the National Statistics Office, a further occasion for belated people to provide census agents special data that would help the implementation of the reforms undertaken by the government. Census agents who came to us seek information concerning how many active people in the family and other questions concerning housing. This is how the population is called upon to cooperate with statistics services for data collection for the municipalities' organization and other public services. The statistics services didn't show up to us yet. They came to our neighbors the last week. If they would visit us, we would certainly open the door for them and provide them with the necessary information. The Census and Statistics Ministry has high expectations concerning the 6th census that concerns specific information for public good governance. According to the General Director of the National Statistic Office, Youssef Bazizi, the operation covered an overall average of 95% on the national level.
To the international topical news, speakers argued before the 4th Committee of the UN General Assembly in New York that Western Sahara is a case of decolonization and illegal occupation by Morocco, which keeps on violating international legality, while highlighting Morocco's refusal for the holding of a referendum on self-determination, as stated by Vanessa Ramos of the American Jury Association, who urged the Human Rights Security Council to take immediate action and put an end to the violations and respect of the right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination. In a related topic, the French human rights activist Claude Mangin Asfari of the Association of the Friends of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic pleaded before the 4th Committee of the UN General Assembly in favor of the extension of the mandate of the United Nations mission for the Western Saharan referendum to the monitoring of the human rights of the Sahrawi people living in the part occupied by Morocco. The activist also stressed Morocco's obligation to comply with the international humanitarian law and allow technical visits of the High Council of Human Rights, as well as visits to prisons, and guarantee the implementation of the decisions of the Committee Against Torture as long as all Sahrawi political prisoners are still under arbitrary Moroccan detention are not released. And the French member of the parliament, Jean-Paul Lecoq, called on the UN to help the Sahrawi people snatch their right for self-determination. He urged the implementation of severe sanctions on Morocco, a move, according to Lecoq, that will give more legitimacy to this institution. He also called on his country's government to do likewise for the sake of justice and the right of peoples to self-determination. In the same context, solidarity demonstrations with the Sahrawi political prisoners illegally detained in the Moroccan prisons took place in Geneva, Switzerland. The protests were organized by the association Benet Sagia in front of the premises of the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights, where several members of the Sahrawi community settled in France, Spain, Belgium, and other European countries were present. For her part, the representative of the Polisario Front in Geneva, Umayma Mahmoud Abdesalam, expressed her unwavering solidarity with the Sahrawi political detainees while calling on all the UN and human rights organizations to intervene as soon as possible for their immediate release. And to sports now, CR Belouizdad sustained a 2-1 loss versus Joliba of Bamako as part of the second round of the African Champions League competition, while USM Algiers secured a 2-0 victory over the Togolese host squad of ASC Kara as part of the CAF Cup contest. And we wrap up our today's news edition with the first screening of the movie Winbeek in the National Audiovisual and Cinema Center, a production of Rabah Slimani depicting the story of the Sahrawi people's struggle for freedom and independence, story by Sabrin Tafarganit.
Today, with this special showing that is so important for me, for the media, press and critics, it's the movie first projection screening.
نظرا للاحتلال المغربي فقام بتقسيم الصحراء الغربية إلى قسمين. لماذا يسمى الجدار؟ رفع الأيدي فوضى. نعم، جدار الذل والعار. كم يبلغ طول هذا الجدار؟ 2720 كيلومتر. 2720 كيلومتر.
Winbeek, an intense documentary film that allows us to dive into the Sahrawi people's daily routine, the pride from their beloved land, witnessing their family connections tearing apart, all due to this wall of shame, a wall built by Morocco, spreading all over 2,700 kilometers, a way to prevent Sahrawi people from meeting their families and their land. The film, directed by Rabah Slimani, took more than 6 years to be accomplished in order to tell us the story of Sahrawi people.
Le point de départ de ce projet, c'est justement...
The beginning of this project was the dedication of a humanitarian cause for struggle for people that are fighting. The movie Winbeek is the story of young students of the Sahrawi Cinema High School who are producing the movie as a thesis project. Winbeek is not a movie about Sahrawi people, but a movie with Sahrawi people.
Voilà, c'est un film sur un film.
Winbeek is also a documentary film about 4 young people willing to engage in cinema industry, to display within their passion the Sahrawi people's tragedy to the world, seeking their liberty and freedom.
وكنت نقول الله اكبر الله اكبر. منين قضيت لوالدتي كان في الحقيقه صعب عنها، هي عارفه عني انا اشوفها بعين واحده، وكانت صعب الطريقه اللي قلتها لها، قلت لها عنها تصبروا نحن مصيرنا هو ما دام الاحتلال المغربي، ما دام الاحتلال المغربي محتل الوطن عن حالنا هذا هو، والله بدنا يمشوا عينينا وبدنا يمشوا ارواحنا وبدنا يمشوا اعضائنا كامله.
The national television is our co-producer, and it is such an honor to co-produce a movie destined to be out in movie theaters and to participate in festivals. Like anywhere in the world, television channels are engaged in cinema, and Algeria proved that we are keeping up with things and we are doing it in the best way possible. This film, produced by the Algerian television, encourages the committed cinema that denounces repression and the injustice being rejected by the oppressed people.
And with this, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye.